Well, greetings YouTubers, it's Steve, and today I'd like to talk about one of my latest acquisitions, and one I'm very proud to have. This is Generation 1 Blitzwing, a very well known Decepticon triple changer, introduced in 1985. This guy would have to be one of the more popular triple changers in the Generation 1 Decepticon line. This is a genuine vintage example of the toy, and it is in near, I would say, mint condition really. I was very lucky. I purchased this from a seller in the United States, although I did pay for the privilege to have one in such good condition, but I'll talk more about that a little bit later on. As a character, Decepticon Blitzwing was featured in the Sunbow cartoon series, and he was popular, I'm thinking, really for lots of reasons. One reason is that he was one of the only Decepticons that actually had a tank as a mode, and therefore there was a greater emphasis placed on his tank mode in the first 4 seasons of that show. The other thing is that he looked very close to how he does as a toy, so I think that helped him as well with his popularity, unlike, for example, Ironhide, which, as we all know, the toy looked absolutely nothing like he did in the cartoon series. As a toy, this guy started out life as a Diaclone toy. I'm sure you all know that the Diaclones were a range of toys which predated the Transformers, and lots of Diaclone toys were used as Transformers. Of the Decepticon triple changes, Astro, Train and Octane were not Diaclone toys. Only this guy was a Diaclone originally. This apparently is based on a Type 74 tank. Having a close look at this tank mode, it is predominantly, I'd say, a light brown colour with the purple details hidden underneath in this mode. I absolutely love the tank mode. In my opinion, it is my favourite of the 3 modes easily. The turret will rotate 360 degrees as well as move from side to side. You can see the rub symbol there on the top. The gun barrel will move, extend and move back in. The treads are only printed, or actually they're not, well, they are painted, but the treads themselves are not active in that they don't move. Having a look all over the toy, you can see that there are wheels underneath, plastic wheels. Mine does roll, although not very well, but it does. Now what I'm going to do is transform him from his tank mode now to his jet mode. Now, when you do this, the instructions mention that the turret remain in place, but personally I find that it's much easier to remove the turret. This is my personal choice, so I'm going to show you the way that I transform it. So to remove the turret, you just turn it this way, pointing to the side, and you can remove it like that. I believe later versions of Blitzwing, the turret was not removable, but this one is. Okay, for me personally, I just find it much easier to remove the turret, and I'll show you how to replace it later on. Now, when you're transforming this thing, because of the nature of the transformation, it's very easy to chew up some stickers. And when I got my transformer, the sticker sheet was unapplied, but I took the liberty of actually putting these on. My good friend Shredder advised me that it would be a good idea. It makes the toy look heaps better, and I totally agree. Some people may think I'm mad for applying a unused vintage sticker sheet, but I did. Anyway, let's go on to the transformation. So the first thing I do, and this, once again, this is my method, which differs a little bit from the instructions that were released with the toy back in the day. The nose cone will pull out like so. Okay. Then the next thing you want to do once again I'm being cautious and careful about the stickers here. These will pull out. You want to pull these out just gently. There's no need. Actually, I think the original instructions said excessive force not necessary, sorry, so that is absolutely true. Excessive force is not. In fact, be super gentle with him. So they'll click back like this. However, before I do that, there's a few things we've got to do. Now, the instructions will tell you push here and they will just come out, but I find it easier actually for this next step to actually rotate this portion just here back. Okay, I just find that much easier. From there I can extend that rear wing piece, and this rear part I can just fold up, and then I can bring this back into place like so. Okay, then I can lock that wing part into place. And I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Just repeat that process. Once again, this is my method. I just find that this saves stickers from getting chewed up, and it's a little easier on the toy. I want to keep this toy in good condition if I can, and that will just go back. That will then click into place. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to replace the turret. Since it's part of the jet mode, it will just slide back into place. Now, the turret, you want to rotate it and move it back, because that's actually going to support the back part of the jet. Now finally, if you just get your fingernail, you'll be able to see in the wheel, you can just slide that out like so. Okay, and that is his jet mode. It's based apparently on an MiG 25 jet type, and it looks great, there's no doubt about it. Maybe the only part that looks a little bit strange is the bottom where the turret is, but as you can see, it's necessary to put the turret towards the back so that he can sit straight in this mode. Predominantly purple in colour. I love the detail on the nose cone. By the way, there is also a large degree of die-cast metal on this toy, so that makes it a little weighty, which is good to me. I love that. That's one of the things I love about the early G1 Transformers. You've got die-cast in these rear pieces just here at the back of the wings, and these grey parts are die-cast metal as well. Okay, now let's talk about the missiles. For the American release of this toy, the springs in the missiles were significantly weakened. Okay, the reason they did this was for safety. They didn't want kids taking their eyes out, whereas the Japanese one had much stronger springs. With mine being a near mint example of the toy, it even came with the 3 missiles still on the tree. And if you want a demo, I'm very sorry, I'm not prepared to remove these missiles from the tree. But in most cases, actually, the springs are that weak that they don't really fire out very well. I've seen an example in other videos. But these are the 3 missiles that you do get. Having a look at the back. Yeah, very, very good. Nice jet mode, I like it. Okay, now I'm going to transform him from his jet mode into his robot mode. So to do that, we'll start by grabbing the wheel, popping it away, folding the head, or the nose cone down to reveal the head rather. You can see Blitzwing's head just there. Okay, now what you want to do with the turret, what I do is just, once again, you can remove the turret altogether if you want to. In this case I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to move it to the side. I'm going to grab this piece, whole piece, and flip it up. Okay, move that back, fold this piece down, click that into place, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the other side. Fold the wing out, fold these pieces back in, these rear wing pieces, click it back in. move the turret up so that the gun faces upwards. Although this is a personal choice, you could leave it either up or down. I tend to sometimes leave it about there just so it stays in place. It's a personal thing. Okay, and then finally we leave these part out because they form part of his feet, and then we just want to grab these and these pieces to reveal the legs. They want to be pushed down. Finally, his arms, a little bit tricky to get out. You want to bring them forward, and you want to bring this piece forward slightly and pull them out, and then grab your fingernail and pull the fist out. Move it back. Okay, arm out, fingernail in there to pull the fist out. Okay, pop that piece back in there. So, this is Blitzwing in his robot mode. Now, he does have two weapons. Now, strangely enough, you get a blaster rifle and you get a sword. Now, strangely enough, with this toy, something that I always scratch my head over, they put the hole for the weapon peg in the side of the hand rather on top. I always found that curious. What that means is that only one weapon will fit really in one hand unless you want the other one upside down. So the sword will go in his left hand and his gun here, or laser pistol, will go in the right hand. Just sit him there like so. Interestingly enough, as an interesting side note, in the Generation 1 checklist, which was an early catalogue which this toy came with, it pictured an early prototype version of Astro Train carrying Blitzwing's weapons. Typical of any G1 toy, you're very limited with articulation. No movement at all in the head, no movement at all in the arms. Excuse me, the arms do move, no movement at all in the legs, I meant to say. The arms will move up and down a little bit. Still, in his own right, he does look quite good in some ways. I mean, I think that's part of the appeal of the G1 toys. By the way, at this point I'd like to show you the trademark markings on the side of the toy. You can see there it's marked Takara Co. Limited, 1980-1984 Japan. And then on the other wing you'll see Hasbro, 1980-1984. So Blitzwing is very much an iconic G1 toy, and if you're a G1 fan like me, your collection will never be complete without this guy. You've just got to get him. So that brings me to the next point. Let's talk about pricing. Got this, as I mentioned earlier, from a seller on eBay in the United States. Cost me about $100. Okay, but for that I got a toy in near mint condition. Some advice: if you're going after a G1 Blitzwing, be very careful and wary of knockoffs. But you know what, you could probably pick one of these up for about $50 in any condition if you just want any example of the toy. So this is something I'm very proud of. Thank you very much for watching. This is Generation 1 Blitzwing.